Welcome back to another episode of Out Loud Geek, where we discuss news and views about pop culture, science fiction, fantasy, food, cooking, the outdoors, and more. The first sentencing of someone involved in the accidental shooting of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins on the set of Rust has been issued. But before proceeding, I'd like to ask everyone to please like this video, please subscribe to this channel, and please press the bell to receive notifications. Thanks! Well, this headline was certainly not a surprise to me when I first spotted it yesterday. Rust armorer sentenced to 18 months in Alec Baldwin's shooting of Halyna Hutchins. The film armorer who loaded a live bullet into Alec Baldwin's gun on the set of Rust, leading to the death of a cinematographer, was sentenced Monday to the maximum term 18 months in prison. So she didn't get any benefit of the doubt in this. I mean, she wasn't apologetic apparently, so the maximum term, that's pretty serious. Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, 26, was convicted in March of involuntary manslaughter after a jury found that her negligence caused the death of Halyna Hutchins. And she was totally negligent. She was the one who loaded the gun that went off and killed Halyna Hutchins. And she has not apologized, and she's been trying to point the finger of blame at everyone but herself. Judge Mary Marlowe Summers said that Gutierrez-Reed had not shown any remorse, and no, she never has. She's been trying to blame everyone but herself. Quote, "You alone turned a safe weapon into a lethal weapon," unquote, the judge said. Quote, "But for you, Miss Hutchins would be alive. A husband would have his partner, and a little boy would have his mother," unquote. Before issuing the sentence, the judge heard from Hutchins' relatives and friends, from her agent, and from Rust director Joel Sousa, who was struck in the shoulder by the bullet that killed her. And I feel bad for him too. I feel bad for everyone who was there, who witnessed this. And Gutierrez-Reed, I don't feel bad for her. I think she is finally getting what she deserves in all of this. Sousa also spoke of the deep loss caused by the tragedy. Quote, "What I want is simply not possible. I want that none of this ever happened, that everyone is okay, that lives weren't destroyed," unquote, he said. Quote, "One moment the world made sense, the next moment it didn't, and it still doesn't, and I don't know if it ever will again," unquote. I'm sure he is still traumatized by what occurred, and he may even have some PTSD that he may be dealing with. Gutierrez-Reed has been held since March 6th at the Santa Fe County Adult Detention Center and was brought into the courtroom in shackles and a pale green jumpsuit. In a prepared statement, she said that her heart aches for the Hutchins family and said she was saddened by the way the media had sensationalized the tragedy and had portrayed her as a complete monster. Well, I didn't see anyone call her a monster. I think that people have just been saying that she was irresponsible, and I don't think she was qualified to do the job. She was clearly completely oblivious to the fact that she was loading live rounds into a gun that was going to be used on the set, when they were only supposed to be loading blanks. She asked the court to give her probation. Quote, "When I look on Rust, I was young, I was naive, but I took my job as seriously as I knew how to," she said. Yeah, I kinda doubt that. Quote, "Despite not having proper time, resources, and staffing, when things got tough, I just did my best to handle it. I beg you, please don't give me more time. The jury found me in part at fault for this god-awful tragedy, but that doesn't make me a monster. That makes me human," unquote. And nowhere in that statement does she apologize. She says that the jury found her in part at fault, but she isn't actually taking personal responsibility for her part in this. Nowhere does she even give any indication that she accepts any responsibility. And this is why the judge gave her the maximum sentence of 18 months in prison. So I think she deserves it because she is not remorseful. She's showing no remorse whatsoever. Gutierrez-Reed's father, veteran film armorer Thel Reed, also asked for mercy. Quote, "It's a horrible tragedy for that wonderful lady Halyna to lose her life," unquote, he said. Quote, "Also, it would be a tragedy to put my daughter Hannah in the penitentiary for that," unquote. Well, No, it would be a tragedy if no one was held accountable for what occurred, and since his daughter was the one responsible for loading the gun with live ammunition, well, yes, I think she bears a lot of the responsibility. Because Halyna Hutchins would be alive today had Hannah Gutierrez-Reed not loaded the gun with live ammunition. In a memo last week, prosecutor Carrie Morrissey wrote that Gutierrez-Reed's jail calls show she is not remorseful and still pins the blame on others, including Baldwin, the film's producers, and the paramedics who tended to Hutchins after she was shot. She blames the paramedics who were trying to save Hutchins' life. That's really sad and pathetic for her to do. According to a memo, Gutierrez-Reed also called the jurors idiots and made disparaging remarks about the judge and the prosecutor. None of that was going to help her during sentencing, and she really is kind of clueless in not understanding how the law works, and that if you want to get the minimal time in jail or even get probation, then you have to show remorse for what occurred, and she didn't do that. She didn't do anything like that. She's just trying to blame everyone else. Marlo Summer took note of those calls before issuing the sentence, saying that they showed she did not deserve probation. She also noted that at no point in her statement did Gutierrez-Reed say she was sorry for what she had done. Quote, "I did not hear you take accountability," unquote, Marlo Summer said. The judge also designated the crime a quote-unquote serious violent offense, which limits the amount of credit Gutierrez-Reed can receive for good behavior to 15% of her sentence. So she really just screwed herself. I mean, this is not a bright woman. She doesn't have much going on up in her head, I don't think. She was not the right person to choose to be an armorer on a set where real firearms were being used, and it was her responsibility to ensure that only blanks were being loaded. She was clearly unqualified. Gutierrez-Reed plans to appeal, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Baldwin was indicted in January on a charge of involuntary manslaughter for pointing the gun at Hutchins and pulling the trigger. He is set to go on trial in July. Now, I honestly don't know how things are going to go for Alec Baldwin. When his trial begins in July, his defense is going to be able to use this trial against Gutierrez-Reed and be more easily able to point the finger at her. I think there's also going to be a lot of opportunity for them to create reasonable doubt in the minds of the jurors. So I am far less inclined to believe that he will be found guilty in the same manner that Gutierrez-Reed was found guilty, because he was not the one who loaded the gun. He was told it was a cold gun, but we'll have to wait and see how all of that plays out during the actual trial. So just stay tuned and we'll all find out together. Thanks for watching today, and a huge thanks to everyone who has subscribed to our channel. We appreciate your support. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button, and please feel free to share a comment. If you'd like to help support this channel, please press the red subscribe button, and please press the bell to receive notifications for new content. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter by clicking on the links in the description. Until next time, this is Out Loud Geek.